Well, hello there, my crafty friends. Welcome to my cave. My name is Diana, and this is Crates of Creativity. I wanted to show you two different ways of working with pennies. But one of the ideas that I had, not pennies, but like coins, one of the ideas I had was to work with a book cover. But I've always wanted to do my own cell phone cover, and I have been so much into like making my own books and my own journals. And I had this thin book that I was like, the minute I saw it, I knew I wanted to make a cell phone cover with it. So once I've cut the book to the size that I needed for my phone, I realized I really wanted that same color, but the edges were not covered, so I decided to wrap my cover with that same color of construct with the construction paper. Oh my gosh, you can tell I have kids, huh? With this blue paper, cardstock, and I wanted to have to make the sharp lines. I just go over with the ruler, and I have this old vintage leather piece that I got from an old jacket that I bought of a state sale. It was $5, and I just took it apart, and I keep on using scraps from it, and I use it to do the spine. But at my first go ahead, I didn't like that I folded the edges. It looked too clean for my taste, so I went back and, with all the mess, I unglued it and I cut it, and it was chaotic, but turned out all right. And I went back to the corners where there were folds already on the leather, because I didn't want to create new folds, and I liked the weathering that happened on this jacket with all the folds, like, and by folds I mean the side and the bottom of each corner fold, and not the four corners, just like the corner that's gonna be attached to that corner. I don't know, I'm saying corner too many times, but hopefully the video, I know it's fast, but hopefully it can help you visualize what I'm trying to say. And again, because I decided I like that rough edges, I'm not using rulers to really cut it. I kind of like use it as guide, or as to where I'm going to cut, but I don't want straight edges, so I just rough it out. And once I attached my corners to my book, I'm doing that part where you put the cards on the side. I was not gonna do it, but I realized, what the heck, I'm already here, right? As I mentioned to you guys before, this video is not too much to focus on and how I did this cell phone cover. It's mostly how I use the coins at the end, but I'm gonna try to explain the best that I can. This side is made with this fabric that it's a non-tearable paper. I think it's called, some people call it craft paper or craft text, something like that. And anyhow, I'm trying to do the slots that where you can put like the cards, but I noticed I wanted to do some leather on it as well. So what I did is I wanted to still kind of do it roughly by hand, but not so roughly that it looks retarded. So what I did is I grabbed a stamp that I had that has the shape kind of what I wanted, and I just used it on the inside so you don't see the stamp on the outside. And I noticed it was really hard for me to cut the stamp along it, so I just used the scissors, the knife, because the scissors was I think it had some glue on it or something that wasn't letting me cut the leather, and it was like chewing it rather than cutting it. So that's why I went with the knife. Not so much that I wanted it so straight. I still kind of roughed it up around on the edges, and I did the same thing to this leather. I went and I cut the two holes on the sides, and then in the between, to connect the punch out holes, I did two lines right next to each other, so there's a little negative space where the card can slide in and out easily. Okay, once I make sure that the card fits. Oh, by the way, side note, that is my business card for our business. We sell, my husband and I, we have our own company. We do a reproduction of his artwork on canvas, and I just happen to really like that card, and I have it around just sitting on my desk. And anywho, I decided to do a floating pocket for the top card. I don't want it to go all the way in, so I decided to play around with paper, and it kind of worked. It doesn't go all the way down. The card doesn't go all the way down, and it was actually easier than I thought, just to glue a piece of cardstock, so sort of like a stopper. Once I'm done with the pouches or little card slots, I glued it down, and make sure you leave space for the other card to slot in. Don't put glue on there. I put glue. Big mistake. Anyways, make sure you cut out the holes where your camera is gonna go. In this case, I did a squared, and because my case is like neon green, and I wanted to cover that up, I put a piece of a book page in there, and I just poked the hole through because I wanted to cover up the case cover. And to do my favorite step, which is like antiquing or making aging my paper, I did the same mixture that I always use: black acrylic paint and coffee water, and I just played with it. I moved it around. I kind of wanted to mimic the non-pattern that the leather actually has, but it was actually fun how it just came out. And to give the outside some sort of aging as well, I did the same thing. I mixed acrylic water with acrylic paint with coffee water, and I go around the edges. And here comes the fun part. This is where I pick my coins, my flattened coin. I know I noticed that this one particular size of coin, the 25 cents flat coin, fits exactly on this vintage frame that I had from Tim Holtz collection. And unfortunately, the one I really wanted to, it was on a sideways, and I decided to use it anyways because it's a Disney one, so I wanted to use it. So what I did is I put a piece of acetate so the coin won't slip out, or because I put it in and out of my pocket, and I don't want to lose the coin for any means. So what I did is I put acetate first, then I put the coin, then I backed that with another piece of blue paper, and then I just glued it onto the paper directly. I didn't go through the whole let's make a hole and have the rivets go through, because I have the card, so that's why I use that blue piece of cardstock so that the rivets can have something to attach to. And then I just decided to glue that whole thing as it was on the on the on the cover. And then after that, I decided, I don't know if I'm going to show you, but I decided to age it, and I grabbed one of those waxes, a gold wax and a bronze wax, and I waxed all around the edges of the frame. And actually I went around with the wax and also used it on the leather corners and leather spine cover, on the cover. I hope you guys enjoy this little tutorial that I put together for a project that I've been wanting to do on a cell phone cover. And then I have this other project that I kind of just randomly wanted to share, that it also involved a coin, I use for a coin. So I have this birch tree bark that I'm separating to the thinnest layers that I could as possible to get it into my junk journal. And I have this butterfly, one of those spinning butterflies that you twist, 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 and it flies off when you open the card or the present or whatever it is. But in this case, I wanted to do one of those, like sort of like a cage, sort of if I would went to the wild and put a cage together and trap the butterfly. And I kind of wanted to make a journal about that. And to start on the bottom, what I did is I put gesso and glue and paint. And you can use this with any color. I used like a white off or textile color on the paint. And after it was dried, I poured in coffee, and I just poured it from both ends so it drips from up to down and from down to up. And I did it while my paint was sort of still wet when I stamped it, so that the color mixed up a little bit. Anyways, so this is kind of how I displayed my little cage. Inside of the cage, I put a leaf of one of my lilies, and I put the butterfly in there. And once I have all that kind of glued on the page, I used a string, sort of like when you close an envelope, and I used my coin to close the cage on the butterfly. Another use that I found where I can use a penny is as a button. A coin, because you can use any coin, but in this case I used an old penny, and I drilled 2 holes on it, sort of like a button. You could sew it on there, or you can use those little rivets. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked it, please consider subscribing and liking this video. Till next time, have a good day.